Welcome to The Trader, a Spotify Top 10 Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, and I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and I am a 100% faithful fan of the multi-award winning TV competition series, The Traitors. The Trader features deep dives into every episode of the show, as well as interviews with contestants and general updates from the Traitors verse. It's been a while. In fact, the last episode was March the 17th, almost 3 months ago. It was kind of a natural time to have a little break from the podcast because, one, there was no Traitors on TV, except French-Canadian Traitors, which I confess I have not watched. And secondly, I was moving country, so I am no longer in Scotland. I have moved to England. I'm now living in London. And right in the middle of that, I spent a week in Denmark and Sweden at the Eurovision Song Contest. I was even on another podcast, things gay people like to talk about it. And lastly, my laptop died last week, and I am literally using a brand new one tonight for the first time, and really hoping that this records. So I'm back in the Traitors zone now, and there is so much to talk about. This episode is a special news flash episode. We've got Traitors US news, especially important for UK viewers, awards news, Traitors Canada, Traitors New Zealand, casting news, casting rumours, and a general sort of roundup of Traitors-esque shows, and later on some exciting podcast news. So although I'm saying news flash, which implies it will be quick, I may end up talking for quite some time. A, because there are so many exciting things to talk about in the world of the Traitors, but also B, because I am joined by a returning co-host, and we will inevitably end up talking for quite some time. I am joined by Jessica Wheeler. Jessica also works in the world of TV development and is a huge fan of shows like The Apprentice, RuPaul's Drag Race, and of course, The Traitors. And Jessica just generally has so much more insight into unscripted TV than I do. Jessica, how you going?
How am I going? So good. How you going? I like thought that we wouldn't bring that back.
Oh no, that always comes back.
It's always coming back. Okay. I'm going so good. I'm going fast. Like this year, it's going so fast. Thanks for the introduction again. It makes me feel good, but I have to say that it's not true that I know more about unscripted television development than you, because yours, for the listeners at home, Matthew's doing exceptionally well in his career. I would argue he stole my job.
True.
And for the listeners at home, Matthew's gone bright red.
Truly not the case.
Well, I did left the company and you got promoted. So
you've moved on to bigger and better things. Truly,
bigger building.
Yeah. So
title. Okay.
So anyway, you were last on the podcast to talk about the Traitors UK Series 2, Episode 5. By the way, listeners, there will be spoilers ahead, but every time there's going to be a spoiler, I will play a little sound effect like this. Just so you know, for the next 30 seconds, we may talk about things that have happened in various seasons of the show. So for the next little minute or so, we might talk about Traitors UK Series 2. Just to ask Jessica, so we talked about episode 5. Yeah, so early on in that season. That was the episode where Johnny had been banished. Harry, Miles and Paul were all still undetected traitors. Mother Diane was still in the picture. Did you enjoy the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not even a viable question. It was so good. I was really happy to see. I was telling everybody, I was like, Paul's got an American Psycho energy. And then on the Traitors podcast, the in studio, the final one, he was like, and where's he from? I was going to do like a Derby accent then, but it's not right. He said he'd been reading it, and I felt rewarded,
Vindicated. Yeah, you were right.
vindicated. I mean, who could have seen the way they caught her writing down that H?
Yeah.
The way that the camera, they must, I mean, how did they? They must have just had a camera there the whole time watching the board.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. I think like, what happened at the end of the first series? Okay, that was the outdoor. That was the outdoor pit.
Yes.
And then it felt so narrative. It felt so structured. I mean, that's something Studio Lambert is so good at, right? If you've seen Squid Game Challenge, they're really good at creating a story. And we were really blessed with that. And I think that's the like ennui, isn't it? That people are so into, is when things that are freely performed seem to follow like traditional narrative roles and like life and art is life, da da da.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt very special.
Yeah, it did. They just captured like this incredible magic again, and I don't know if it's luck. I don't know if it's good casting. I don't know if it's heavy interference, but it all came together. So
yeah, we will never know how much that was played with. But there was something about, as a woman, watching another woman make those. I'm not going to call it a mistake because it's a show, but seeing her go through that process and relating so much to seeing you choosing the wrong guy. Like, no, don't pick him. Don't trust him, please. And you like see yourself in that situation.
Sure.
It's like Twilight for the people that like Jacob.
Exactly the same.
You said that actually. I think we said that at the same time, but like your mic out, but we were saying it at the same time.
Now, before we get onto all of our Tracers news, I'm going to do this at the start of the episode, kind of the start. Usually I do this at the end, but I want to say thank you to a bunch of people who have donated to the podcast coffee page. So big thank you to Steph, Winter, Kate, Joel, Sarah M, Ace, Aubrey, Brittany, Alexandra, and a few anonymous supporters who, over the last couple of months, have obviously sort of come across the podcast, are catching up on old episodes, and have sent in little donations to help me with the running of things. So that was very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much to all of those people. And I'll mention at the end how you could become one of those people as well. So, Jessica, it's time to get into it. We've got an epic TT News edition of The Trader. Here we go. So first up, big news for Traitors UK people. The Traitors US Season 2 will be available to watch on BBC iPlayer, and it's broadcasting on BBC Three from Wednesday, the 12th of June, here in the UK. Now, I've already covered the whole season on the podcast, so UK viewers, you've got all of that to catch up on. Jessica, have you seen Traitors US Season 2?
I have not. I admit I found sources to watch it, the first couple of episodes, because Peppermint was in it.
Yes.
And I think after the first series, I wasn't really sure how I felt about the mixed cast.
Yeah.
Don't think anyone really knew. For me, that feels quite experimental. Like, I don't think here we would come to that conclusion, or that people would commission that as a first series. It's just an amazing expression of like how people think in America compared to us, and I think it was really great that they've tried that. But this next series is all fame.
All fame.
All fame. Around every corner, fame.
All fame, no normies.
No normies. They're all freaks. No, they're all, but like reality fame. And is it all reality born fame?
Almost entirely. There are some people from other sort of worlds and spheres, but almost all reality people. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if any of those people have had experiences in performing at all. The suspicion around that ability. It's like when someone comes in and they're a lawyer.
Yeah.
And everyone's immediately like, oh, well, they know how to fight a case. They're going to be risky. So interesting to see how that plays out for them.
Yes.
But all reality stars are performers. That's the difference, isn't it?
Sure. I think people who maybe come from shows where strategy and gameplay is very predominant receive a lot more suspicion, and as opposed to someone who is maybe on like a dating show. There's kind of a little bit of a difference, I think.
Well, once you know how to harvest an audience, I think you know how to work the camera.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
We consider Traitors to be a show made for civilians, and there's this trajectory of not zero to hero, but coming into your own. I mean, we saw that with some characters from Traitors, you know, the most recent one. Okay. But when you're already there and you already know how to speak to a camera and do a MIV, you know, interview.
Yeah.
You're already at another level. So that where does the drama go from there? Which is the big question with an all-reality cast.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that series out. Did you like it? I'm curious.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the first US season.
Why do you think that is?
I think because it sort of just knew what it was. And this is not a spoiler for anyone, I don't think. I think it just... because they decided to just go with reality stars and well-known faces, it just sort of embraces that, and it's very camp and amplified and exaggerated, and it's without leaving behind people who aren't used to being on TV having to sort of contend with that. So you go into just accepting these are reality TV stars and they're going to be really exaggerated archetypes and character types, and you just get on board with it straight away. I found it more all-round entertaining, I would say.
Do you think Alan seemed more comfortable? I don't want to call him Alan. That was so... Oh, Alan. You know.
Friend Alan.
Our friend of the pod.
Oh, yeah. Alan. Al. Good old Al.
We call him Big A. Do you think he seemed more comfortable in the second series?
I don't know if I noticed much of a difference. I think he was probably, he seemed like he knew what he was doing first time round anyway. I think his outfits have become more comfortable.
As in physically?
As in, no, as
in his trackies.
Quite the opposite.
Sliders and trackies. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a fun question for you, but it might not be the appropriate time to ask it. But can I ask it and you can just give me like a quick answer?
Okay.
Okay. So, of the three hosts, UK Traitors host.
Oh yeah.
Australia Traitors host.
Roger.
I obviously know who hosts the Traitors in the UK. But her name?
Claudia.
Claudia. Yeah. So last word that was going to come out of my mouth right then. I am a fan. Can I just say I'm a big old fan. Claudia, Roger, and Alan, Big A. You had to put them in like an order.
Oh, I mean, Claudia is number one for me. I think that's no secret on the podcast. And then, what look? What are we?
You can decide on the order. Okay, by outfit. Okay, like best dressed.
Oh, best dressed. Right. Okay, so, I mean, Alan has to come above Roger, but Roger has a place in my heart forever. And actually, that's something we're going to talk a little about Traitors Australia in a while. So we will be talking about Roger again, but
we must speak about him because your name lives on until the last person says it.
Listeners know that Roger is very special to me for not very good reasons. Other than because I think he's a babe.
Do you think not very good reasons?
That's a terrible reason to post to a show. I'm sorry.
Don't tell me I'm not allowed to be attracted to all of these hosts in different, varying ways from the different compartments of my heart.
Okay, well, if you said it's fine, it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Another little bit of news connected to Traitors US is that the most recent season of the show has been nominated for 5 Critics' Choice Real TV Awards: Best Competition Series, Best Ensemble Cast in an Unscripted Series, Best Show Host, Male Star of the Year, and Female Star of the Year. And I thought it would be fun if we took a little look at some of the other nominees in these categories, even if we know nothing about them, and just decide what we think should win and what the competition's going to be. So, Best Competition Series, The Traitors US is up against The Amazing Race, which isn't quite the same as Race Across the World, but is practically the same thing.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I truly can't tell.
I think the difference is the title.
The difference is the title, and the format, I guess, is somehow. From what I've read, they are practically the same show.
Okay.
It's up against RuPaul's Drag Race.
What's that? What is that? Is that French?
It's a little known show that no one's ever heard of. I don't even.
It's an indie. It's new.
It's a new thing. Maybe it'll catch on one day. I'm not confident. We've got Squid Game: The Challenge, Survivor, and Top Chef. What are we? Any other favorites in there?
Yeah, I loved Squid Game: The Challenge.
Me too.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
I was hooked. I think as well, releasing things like was it 3 episodes at a time? That has got me
on Netflix. Yeah.
I am so hooked. Even what they do with trailers in the UK. Oh my goodness, it's delicious because it's sizable.
Yeah,
there's like a small binge. You're not overfull. But that's obviously not the best part. It was the hundreds of people they had and losing them at different times, and they just execute that so well. The buy-in. Have you watched RuPaul's Drag Race?
I may have seen 1 or 2 or all of the episodes ever.
I might be currently always waiting for the next episode of All Stars Series 9. I might be constantly announcing, I'm Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I know you love me, baby. That's why you brought me here. Maybe.
I love Drag Race, and if anything's going to win in that category, maybe it's Drag Race. I guess it always. Well, it seems to win in its category at the Emmys every year now. Like, it just always wins. So
the Critics' Choice Award for Real TV.
Yes, that really famous award show. Haven't you heard of it?
Do I think it will win? That would be surprising. That would be surprising to me if it won. It's based on the first series, or is it?
Actually, this is based on the most recent series. So I'm asking you to make a judgment about a show that you haven't seen yet.
Which I do often in my job to join in with the water cooler talk.
Yeah.
Top Chef, I've never watched. And The Amazing Race, I'd like it to win because I think The Amazing Race is a really funny title.
Do you think it's as basic a title as Race Across the World, which is... I love Race Across the World, by the way, but it's the most literal title ever.
The literal titles will win every time.
Yeah.
In our jobs, we do so much pun work that I think sometimes you've got to just cut that out and just say what it is.
Yeah,
just even what it says on the tin.
Top Chef is just so literal.
In the UK, it makes more sense as well.
What chef's the top?
He's a top chef.
Who's at the top?
Who's the top
chef? It's
chef?
the top chef. No, I was going to go through all of the other categories.
No, let's do it. Oh no, we've run out of time. We're talking too much.
We may be here all night if we do that. And also, what I've realised is we'll probably end up just I'm asking you to talk about a season that you haven't watched of the show yet. So, for example, Female Star of the Year, Phaedra Parks is nominated for The Traitors, but I can't tell you too much about why Phaedra may be nominated in this because you've not seen her in the show yet. So
yeah, spoiler alert, she's on the show.
She's on the show. Spoiler. but I don't want to say anything else about her. In conclusion, good luck, Traitors US. I hope you win all of them.
Wait, what are the other categories that aren't like that have other interesting shows on?
We could look at the best show host, which so Alan Cumming is nominated for best show host. Who else is nominated? We have Will Arnett from Lego Masters, Terry Crews for America's Got Talent, Kristen Kish for Top Chef, Kiki Palmer for Password, and of course, RuPaul for RuPaul's Drag Race.
I love the idea of Will Arnett winning for Lego Masters, but I think Alan Cumming versus RuPaul is interesting. But if it's not RuPaul, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah,
wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I would be. Yeah, RuPaul seems to sort of just always win these sort of host awards. So yeah,
it would be fun. It would be fun if Alan Cummings won, and I think he deserves to win. I mean, Ru must have Ru, our friend Ru, big R. The reason that house is so big just must be pouring out awards at this point. Yeah, I'd like them joint win. Can they share the crown?
Maybe they could be a tie for the first time ever in Critics' Choice Real TV Awards history.
You take the scepter and prance.
Prance, I say.
I'd like to see that.
Me too. And we may see that on Saturday, June the 15th, because that's when the ceremony takes place.
We'll be watching.
We'll be watching. The world will be watching.
Everyone.
Something else for Alan Cumming, by the way, and I made you watch this before we started recording. Alan Cumming and Phaedra have appeared in a Delta Airlines commercial. And it's clearly like referencing the Traitors. So they appear with a skateboarder called Jagger. It's on YouTube and people can find it themselves.
The name of the video is it's like my advert for Delta Airlines.
Yeah, I feel like the director of the ad has like posted this on their personal YouTube page, which is really odd because I couldn't find it anywhere else. It's a bit of silliness. It's fun. They make jokes about deception and trickery and stuff like that.
So you're telling me that Traitors has such clout in the US that was a viable thing to do? That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. They just expect people to get why is Alan Cumming in this advert and why is he saying these things, because they don't use the word traitors and we don't see the traitors logo or anything like that. But so, yeah.
It's that big. It's been that big that they could do that and most people would know.
Yeah, which is, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Do you think that you could do that here?
I think you could now, yeah. I think most people, even if people haven't actually watched The Traitors, will get references to it and might even recognise people like Diane. So yeah, I think you could do that sort of thing here.
You know what I never watched was that Comic Relief trailer video.
Yeah.
Is it really good?
It's fun. It's not going to change your life or it's good fun. Yeah, you should watch it. You'll laugh a couple of times. Just that like really damning praise.
No.
You'll laugh 2 times maybe. It's fun.
Twice, 3 times at most if you're trying to flirt, but twice. No, perfect. I'm glad you're honest.
The final Traitors US news right now is that even though the Traitors US Series 2 has just become available in the UK on iPlayer, the Traitors US Season 3 is already filming right now in Scotland. Alan Cumming has been posting little videos on Instagram of his time at the castle. And weirdly, or maybe not weirdly, I think because there were so many rumours about which celebrities might be on this new season. So, and actually, that's initially what I was going to do a podcast episode about, was just these rumours that I'd been seeing online. And in the meantime, NBC have just gone ahead and officially announced who is going to be the cast, which is amazing because it's not going to air for sort of 6 months or something.
So maybe is it because there was so much going around
I think so, yeah. They thought the secrets are getting out. We might as well just officially talk about who's going to be on the show. Because, yeah, I think they weren't keeping it a secret very well. I'm going to run through the list of the contestants. I'm going to admit I know about 5%, but I think you know some of them better than I do.
How many are there? What's 5% of?
Oh, I just made up that statistic. I don't know. 5% of 20 is 1, isn't it? Okay, I know 10%.
You call this episode 5% of 20 is 1.
That's right, isn't it?
I think so.
Why are you laughing at my maths? Okay.
It's just
No.
yeah, 5% of 20 is 1. Do you know one person from the sign up?
I know, actually, I know about 3 people, so I was exaggerating.
15.
What I should have said is most of them I don't know. However, you might know some, and later on, at some point in the future, David Bloomberg, who is regularly on the podcast with me, will give us a really good rundown. I think he knows almost all of them very well from various reality shows. So we've got Bob Harper from The Biggest Loser. Have you ever seen any of The Biggest Loser shows?
That's the weight loss show.
Yeah, the weight loss show.
That's crazy that people become reality stars from that.
Right?
To me. Also,
Yeah.
we haven't worked out in the UK how to do a good fitness show.
Oh, actually, so I'm going to read you his little bio, right? So Harper was a team trainer for 16 seasons, so maybe he wasn't really contestant. He was like the coach and then host for 2 seasons. You'd think I might have read this in advance. And I wanted it to be fresh on the podcast, right?
This is what this is about with you and me.
I don't want to be too
That's-
rehearsed.
No, I think it's like jazz.
Yeah,
We move to the beat of jazz. Okay.
exactly. So there we go. He was a host. He was a coach.
That's like
And-
Anton Dubek.
Yes, exactly. From Strictly Fame. He's also married to someone called Anton. So I'm guessing he's representing for the community.
Who
Who
else
loves-
is representing from the community on this list?
Well, the next person, as that was a nice segue.
Thank you.
Do you have this list in front of you as well?
I've looked at the list
Or are you
today.
just psychic?
Okay, I've seen that. I've seen the list because I was so excited that we were recording, and when I was in work, I had to ask my friend who has already looked at the list, and then we were talking, and so I looked.
Okay.
So I know the next name coming
Okay.
from your mouth.
So next up is someone from that show that neither of us really know is Bob the drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race. I am a big fan of Bob.
Avenging Peppermint.
Yeah.
Oh, we should cut that out. Okay, never mind. Say how you're a fan. Say how you're.
I'll put the little spoiler effect in there so that people know maybe to skip ahead. So this is look, if you've not seen RuPaul's Drag Race, this is also a spoiler that Bob the drag queen was a winner of RuPaul's Drag Race season 8.
You're
And
more.
yeah, and starred. I've not watched We're Here on HBO. Have you seen it?
What's it called?
It's called We're Here, and
Nice when you say it.
Bob hosts it with like Shangela and I think Eureka,
Where
and
is
someone
it?
else. Yeah,
Is it a Queer Eye?
it's like it's like fake Queer Eye.
Oh, fake Queer Eye.
Yeah, sorry, no shade.
It's kind of shady. It's had 4 series.
Yeah, it does really well.
No, I haven't watched it. On when you Google it and it gives you the in a nutshell section, it says feel good, unrestrained, and sassy.
Well, that's how I like to feel. So,
Good,
I should
unrestrained,
watch.
and sassy.
or maybe it means I don't need to watch because I already feel like that.
You already embody the values of the show, so you'll watch it and it'll just feel like a reflection of your life. It'll be like
Feel like looking in a mirror.
If you're looking, it'd be like sitting in a bath that is your exact body temperature.
What
You're like, it's barely wet to me.
a great description.
Thank you.
So we've got. Are you excited about Bob the drag queen?
Bob is hopefully going to be amazing.
Bob's Bob. Big B.
Big B. friend of the P. I can't wait for Bob. Basically, if you're asking me to rank, not that I know the rest of the list or anything, and as the most familiar person to me, Bob's right up there.
Yeah, same. We've got a Big Brother US player next, someone called Brittany Haynes. We have a competition show veteran, apparently.
Okay, what's their other credits?
They've also competed on The Amazing Race, that show that we love.
How do you think the theme tune goes to that? It's like,
it's amazing race.
Catch me if you can. It's an amazing race. It's an amazing race. It's an amazing race.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So there we go. A Big Brother, Amazing Race person. I don't know what else to say about her. We've got someone from Survivor.
Can I say?
Sure.
RuPaul's Drag Race, The Amazing Race. Where is RuPaul's Amazing Drag Race?
Yeah, they should do a hybrid.
I'm just saying, my development mind at 11:15 at night, because that's when we're working, which is why you should pay Matthew. That's why you should pay Matthew that coffee money, because it's late at night. It's got me fired up, and I'm thinking that's what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Please.
You should take that straight to work tomorrow. You can have that one. I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, the next film we come up with on this podcast, though, is yours by default now.
We've got someone from Survivor who apparently is a big deal because several people sent me a message going, oh my God, Carolyn from Survivor is going to be on Traitors. So we've got Carolyn, who is a drug counsellor by profession and was also a very popular contestant during Survivor 44. So much so that she was awarded $100,000 by Australian musician Sia for being her favourite competitor ever. How weird is that?
Excuse me?
That's bizarre, isn't it?
100,000.
Sia just gave this woman $100,000
because she was so good on the TV. Yeah. That's giving Hunger Games. That's giving Hunger Games sponsor.
Yeah, it's a very Hunger Games sponsor.
I wonder if that's happened to anyone else. If anyone knows, message Matthew.
Yeah,
that's loco.
That's cool. We've got a Real Housewife of Dubai, someone called Chanel, I believe it's pronounced. Apparently she's the breakout star of the Real Housewives of Dubai. She's a supermodel and beauty line creator. There we go.
Wow. With a name like that, how could you not be?
Exactly, you have to be. Then, now the next person, I believe you have something to say. We have Chrishell from Selling Sunset. Tell me what I need to know about her.
Well, you've already spoken to someone who loves Chrishell.
Yes.
And I was talking to my colleague today, and she also loves Chrishell. And I haven't finished watching. I didn't keep up with Selling Sunset. I think it had a big heyday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not carried on. She is so nice and sweet, beautiful. Like everything you'd want Belle from Beauty and the Beast to be, in a way.
Okay.
That I don't trust her. And in the show, I think like there's drama with her frequently. But also she, it's very exposing, Selling Sunset, or at least it paints it like that, sort of their personal lives. So I'm not myself team Chrishell, but I know a lot of people are.
I have never seen Selling Sunset, so I don't really know the first thing about her. Apparently she was an actress. She was on daytime soaps, All My Children and Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, when she was younger, she was. And I think she was also very poor.
And she recently announced that she's joining the Australian soap opera Neighbours. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, this is it. That she's very, pursuing a career on the screen, which is why this Selling Sunset sweet cutie pie thing, I don't know, it's just make me feel like you just want to get to where you're going. And I don't critique that, because you take the steps you have to take. And I totally have respect for absolutely everyone. But something doesn't sit right with me. And it would be very fun to see her be a villain, like kind of come out of that and be a big old villain in space.
Well, I'm excited now. I didn't know who she was 10 seconds ago.
Have you seen a picture of her?
Yes, I can see a picture of her.
Yeah, see, she's super innocent,
Yeah,
absolutely stunning,
yeah.
very innocent. So, yeah.
We've got someone from a show called Summer House, which I have heard of, but have never seen. It's a Bravo show. She's called Ciara Miller. Any idea who this is?
Nope.
Okay.
But
Next.
that's because we didn't. Where's that? No comes from. I don't have anything to offer this conversation. Not a
Sure.
nope, as in I know who everyone is and she's irrelevant. I just don't. I do
Yeah.
not know.
Yeah, same. She's on Summer House, which is in its 5th season. Professionally, she's a part-time travel nurse and a part-time model.
A part-time model and a full-time friend. Travel nurse.
I don't know what travel nurse is.
It
She's-
sounds like on Love is Blind, they give them their job titles, but they always seem kind of forgiving. Travel nurse, she carries around plasters in her bag.
It's like a travel kit, like a travel. It sounds like you buy her at an airport or something. Oh, I need a travel nurse.
I need a travel nurse, or she's accompanying people as they go through the jungle with remedies. That's what I think. Expedition.
Well, again, 10 seconds ago I thought I didn't care, and now I need to know so much
It's
more about
open.
Ciara. I need to know what a travel nurse is.
So
We've got some more Big Brother people. Someone called Danielle. Big Brother.
Surname?
Yes. Will it make a difference?
to the people at home.
Oh, Danielle Reese or Reyes, Reyes. She has a long history with Big Brother US as a competitor in season 3, season 7, and the Big Brother Reindeer games. And apparently she's an extrovert and a leader. So there we go.
But not a travel nurse. Okay.
She's not a travel nurse, so I don't care that much.
Yeah, I'm not as invested.
Another Real Housewife, this time of New Jersey, someone called Dolores Catania.
I'm
Oh,
so happy to see any Real Housewife.
now in her little bio, it does, I do sort of know something here. It says she is a cousin of the infamously hot-headed Teresa Giudice of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I do know who Teresa is. Sort of, she became quite infamous.
And if you had to describe her on a Google in a nutshell, what 3 words would you use?
Teresa or Dolores?
Teresa.
Teresa, my 3 words would be jail, because I think she went to jail. Apologies, Teresa, if you're listening and you didn't go to jail. I think she's the lady that went to jail.
I think she's the lady that went to jail, and 5% of 20 is one.
So my 3 words are felon, real,
Wait, you've already. Okay.
because she's a real housewife, so she's real, and
Housewife.
glam.
Okay.
Real
Yeah.
glam felon.
Real glam felon.
Yes.
I like that. Lay it down.
Dolores was also voted as Miss Congeniality across the whole Housewives franchise, so
They do that. Is that stolen from that show we don't watch?
maybe. Another Real Housewife next from New York City, Dorinda Medley.
Let me look up Dorinda, because I've seen some of the Real Housewives.
I like her name,
Dorinda.
Dorinda Medley. That actually sounds like a drag
Quite
name.
draggy.
Yeah. A main cast member of the Real Housewives of New York City from seasons 7 through 12. She left the franchise for a few years and then returned in 2023's The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Worked in fashion, has written a memoir, brings chaos to the screen apparently. Can't wait.
Perfect. Tick.
Tick. Next up, this is not a reality, well, it kind of is a reality TV person. This is a sort of sibling of a much more famous person, Dylan Efron, brother of Zac Efron.
What?
Did you know this?
No.
Oh, okay. Did you watch Zac Efron's Netflix docuseries?
Was this post-Jaw?
Post-jaw, yeah. Post-face transplant. Allegedly.
Is that what you don't believe? You're a non-believer.
I'm just reporting rumours that I've read online. I'm saying nothing.
Dylan Efron. So I'm just looking at the pictures that come up on Google.
Oh,
You Google his name.
to see if he's handsome.
Yes.
He's also got
His
a big jaw.
likeness. They sort of have that Ben Casey of the Afflecks.
Sure. Apart from being on his brother's show, I'm sure he's also very successful. He's a producer behind the scenes. And is also very physically fit, having run multiple triathlons, including the Ironman. So he's sure to be an asset during more physical challenges.
Which are very important to the show.
Very important.
He's older than me and younger than you.
Oh,
How old
well,
he is?
good for him. He's.
You're reading it, okay?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm
You're looking at him and
I'm looking at his picture.
Yeah,
He's
perfect.
32.
He is.
Oh, I genuinely was a guess. I didn't cheat.
But he looks his age.
He looks his age.
He's 4 years older than me.
Okay. He's 1 year younger than me. That's so weird.
1 year.
Mm.
Yes, one of those dog years.
Wow. Oh my God. When are you going on Drag Race? The library is open.
Will they take me, please?
Okay.
Half a dog year. A dog 6 months.
Okay. Well, it's too late.
No.
Next
It's a
up,
joke. Everyone knows that you're 35.
moving on. We've got a bachelorette, Gabby Windy.
As in the queen, like as in the
I think she is the bachelorette. Yeah. And she's not a travel nurse, but she's an ICU nurse. And was a
Oh, I
contestant
see.
on season 26 of The Bachelor before being chosen as the co-lead of The Bachelor at season 19. And she competed in Dancing with the Stars.
So does that mean that after she was on The Bachelor, she accrued so much wealth that she was able to be the Bachelorette, or does money not matter to the Bachelor?
I think money doesn't matter, and I think that that's happened a few times on those Bachelorette seasons, that a contestant from one show then becomes the star of the sort of counterpart show. So I think that's happened a few times.
I thought the Bible was that they had everything going on. The money, the looks.
I think it's supposed to be, but as it's gone on, maybe their wealth isn't that important. I think they just have to be hot and famous somehow, even if they're not super rich. I don't know. I'm guessing. We've got another Survivor person called Jeremy, 3-time Survivor competitor, featured in Survivor San Juan del Sur, Survivor Cambodia, and Survivor Winners at War.
Do you think they refer to themselves as survivors?
Yes. Like
if they win, they'll say, "I'm a survivor."
Yeah, definitely.
It's bad, that, isn't
it? The next person's a sort of very strange addition. So this is, I don't think this is a spoiler. I'm going to say something about Traitors US season 2, which is just about to start on BBC iPlayer in the UK, which I've said about 50 times now. Because of that season, we had this bizarre casting of John Bercow, who was an ex-MP. And in this new season of the Traitors US, we've got Lord Ivor Mountbatten, a British royal. Very strange.
Mountbattens. The Mountbatten name, though.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
It's huge.
And will resonate for all viewers of The Crown.
Oh, yeah.
My favourite Mountbatten, I have this book. I'm looking at it, but I can't quite make out the title, about colours. And there's a certain shade of pink named after the Mountbattens.
Is this real?
Yeah, it's real. I think it's a colour of is it a shade of pink? I think it's Mountbatten pink, and it was a colour that they used, and don't quote me, on boats to make them be less viewable.
Oh, okay.
I think so. That has always stuck with me. But Mountbatten, it's a well-known royal name, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And he's the second cousin of King Charles. And also representing first openly gay member of the British monarch's extended family.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Who knew? Well, a lot of people knew because his he's open about it, but
If you want to know, you can know.
Exactly.
I'm not getting a lot of young people on this list,
Not super young, no.
apart from Dylan Efron.
Yeah. Maybe. Well,
Somebody
maybe
spell.
possibly our next person is a little bit younger because our next person is a wrestler, Nikki Garcia, professional wrestler, a former professional wrestler for the WWE. Her stage name was Nikki Bella. Blah blah blah. Fighting Hall of Fame. She was on a reality series called Total Bellas.
Love that.
And now hosts USA Network's Barmageddon with Blake Shelton and Carson Daly. Oh, I know who they are. Okay.
Barmageddon.
Yeah, I have no idea what Barmageddon is, but
Is it to do with mixology?
clever. I'm looking at a picture of someone holding a drink and the little promo shot for it. So did you just figure that out from the name?
Yeah.
See, that's why I got you on the podcast.
You didn't figure that out.
I was just like barmy, like someone who's mad. I didn't understand.
In the US?
Yeah, no, that's why I was confused. Next up, we've got someone from Survivor again and Deal or No Deal Island. He's called Rob Marriott.
Which just came out and has just had only one series.
Yes. The inaugural season of NBC's Deal or No Deal Island. Oh, he was also on 2 seasons of our new favourite show, The Amazing Race.
It's an amazing race.
Amazing.
It's an amazing race. I'll be signing albums outside the office. My big office. That's cool.
He's also been on 5 seasons of Survivor. In fact, this is the infamous. He's called Boston Rob, which I've heard so much about, and I'm not making this up. So this is the Boston Rob.
You know, for things that are so canon, you know, would you ever go back and do Survivor?
If you'd already been on it 4 times.
No, sorry, I should rephrase that. Would you go back and watch all of Survivor? Because
me.
It feels like there's so much that is bleeding out into modern reality.
I don't think there's been like 45 seasons of it or something. That's
why I'm asking.
So momentous.
Would you do it?
I couldn't take on that challenge. I would not survive Survivor. So
you had to be there from day one.
Yeah, it's a no from me.
Okay.
But again, David Bloomberg, who often co-hosts with me, is a human encyclopedia of all things Survivor. So David helps me out when I need to know these things.
If you could just surmise every series, like one episode for every series of Survivor, that would be.
He probably has done that because David is prolific on social media. He does a whole series called Why Blank Lost. So every time someone gets eliminated from Survivor, David does like a 30-second why this person lost.
Amazing.
On TikTok, super quick. So he works his way through every contestant, why they got eliminated. So I guess that's how you could consume Survivor very quickly.
Thank you.
Shout out to David. Who else have we got on this never-ending cast list? Oh my goodness, we've got another housewife from Potomac, Robin Dixon, Real Housewives of Potomac. Original cast member, left at the end of season 8. I'm going to move on. Oh, this is another biggie. This is one of the few people that I actually knew, and it's Sam Ashgari, actor and model, but most famous, which is a shame, for being the now, I think, ex-husband of Britney Spears. Are you familiar with Sam?
No. Would you like to tell me?
I actually thought everyone was like fully immersed in the life of Britney. He was like a sort of backing dancer. He appeared in a couple of her music videos, and then they became a couple. 30. No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, he's very, very attractive.
He's in Hacks.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So I guess he really is an actor.
A Cosmopolitan article released one day ago, why Sam Ashgari can't talk about Britney Spears on The Traitors. Curious.
Okay.
So they went out 2 years ago. They were.
dated, and then actually married, and then about a year later got divorced or separated. We've got someone called Tom. It's Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules. This is a show that I haven't watched, but I've heard so much about. It's a spin-off from a Real Housewives franchise.
Yeah, I know the Vanderpumps.
He apparently became the reality show's villain when he was revealed to be cheating behind the backs of two cast members. There we go.
Stunning.
We've got another Survivor person called Tony Vlachos. Another Survivor contestant, competed in 3 seasons. He's the second person to win 2 seasons of the show. The final person is someone called Wells Adams. Wells Adams is from a show called Bachelor in Paradise, a contestant in season 11 and season 3 of season 11 of The Bachelorette, season 3 of Bachelor in Paradise. Outside of reality TV, he's a radio host and does podcasts.
Is that the full list?
He's also the husband of Modern Family actress and former Love Island USA host Sarah Hyland. Wow. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting thing to know.
Cool. And that is finally the cast list for Traitors US season 3.
We have to ask ourselves why we found that tedious.
Well, I think we did because we don't live in the States and we
don't live in the States.
Don't know most of these people.
But Big Brother, Survivor, Housewives, that's
Bachelorette,
that's besides what, 4 people, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't need that. You're telling me like the best people are from those shows.
I don't think they're necessarily the best people or supposed to be the best people. I reckon that it's because the Survivor's such a big show in the States, and probably there's a massive crossover of viewership between Survivor and the Traitors. So I think they probably just realise people watching the Traitors in the States probably watch Survivor too and probably know these people. So they just want to get people that they know.
It's so different to how we do it.
Yeah, it is.
Is there something, so there's more to be gained through that, utilising those? I mean, some of them must have been on the show together. We don't know that. We just don't know the history well enough. I feel like when we're imagining casts, we're trying to be super diverse, right? And pull mixtures of people in from different ways. And this feels almost like the opposite approach.
Yeah, it's very narrow.
Yeah, it's almost, it really wants to embed itself as a reality show for reality people.
Yeah, it's this sort of trend that's happening with a lot of reality shows coming from the States. Like there's one called The GOAT right now, GOAT, and I think that's just all. So it's all reality TV stars, and then there's shows like House of Villains, which is also just reality stars, and there's another one coming on Netflix soon, which is again it's just this like amalgamate. Yeah. It's just like all the reality shows from America are just like sort of blending into one another and just cross pollinating, and it's very strange to me.
I mean, is it done for viewership? I find that strange too, and I wouldn't keep doing that. Like the thing that we like the most about it in the UK is the thing that they do not want to do.
Yeah. Although this is also actually a nice segue into the next news item, which is about the Traitors UK. A celebrity edition is essentially confirmed, not by the BBC, but it's been reported in so many different news outlets and social media accounts. I think it's practically official. So lots of different places are reporting that there will be a celebrity version of the show that will air in 2025. I don't know. What do you think about Traitors UK having a celebrity version?
I think there's a right way to do it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times when you have a celebrity version of a game that normal people play, the first thing that's coming to my mind is probably falsely, but Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, okay.
I know
what you were going to say.
No, probably Celebrity Big Brother would have been like a more obvious thing to say, but I wanted to think of something where you're playing for money when people are playing for charity, which I imagine is
I'm-
what they will
Yeah,
do.
I'm almost certain that on the BBC, their celebrity version will be a charity thing.
Is there a way of playing traitors without the money?
I guess you could play just for like the title of winner. I mean, I guess there's plenty of shows where you're just competing for a title at the end of it.
Like, I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah, like I'm a Celebrity or Bake Off. You don't win money at the end of that. You're the winner. You're the star baker.
Yeah. But then I guess
You're the king of the jungle or the queen of the jungle. Yeah.
I want to see someone like Peter Jones from Dragon's
yeah.
Den.
Yeah, sure.
I want to see J Star Valentine from The X Factor and early auditions. I want to see Susan Boyle. Susan Boyle, the
Absolutely.
contestant. Who else would? Oh God, what it's so great is it could have such like a frenetic vibe if you pulled people from just so many different places. Have Ant and Dec on there,
Yeah.
you know. Have Claudia. You're not going to do that. Not going to do that. Oh God, there's so many. Imagine Bradley Walsh.
Yeah. I
You
was
know
just
what I
going
mean?
to say they'll have a couple of like comedians.
Lee Back.
Like they wouldn't if thing is, so I'm not mad at the idea of a celebrity version, and it's funny because people when this news was all over social media, a lot of people were sending me messages saying, "Oh, I'm so mad. Oh, why are they doing this? It's awful." And lots of the comments were saying, "Oh, they're going to ruin it, and it's going to turn into like the US version where it's just celebrity." But I actually don't think Studio Lambert and the BBC would treat it like that. I'm not really.
No.
I don't actually mind because it won't. If it happens, it's not going to take over from the
No.
regular version. It's going to be its own separate thing, and I think that they wouldn't fill it with reality stars that most people haven't heard of. I think they would try and get a really funny, really lively, like you say, like quite a wild, diverse cat. I think it could be so much fun, actually.
I think it could be super fun. And, you know, that show we've never watched, but we've heard of a lot, because Drag Race.
Yeah.
I love to be able to go between All Stars and the usual series.
Yeah.
It's a completely different world. There's different things at stake. There's so much room for that. And the great thing about a celebrity version is, you know, they don't have to be reality stars. It's what we love about I'm a Celebrity. Getting people a bit raw, taking back not all, but a few of the onion layers and exposing them a little bit. But yeah, I think people would be apprehensive to lean in too much. But I want to see Lorraine go off. I want to see Jamelia. I'm clearly like just going through different paths in my mind. But I do want to see Jamelia have a go at Adele. You know, it's not going to happen. The casting probably won't be that big. James, you know, imagine James Acaster's on it.
Yeah.
That'd be
fun. I want Natalie Cassidy. And
she should be on it.
She absolutely should be on it. And she loves the show. She's a big fan. She does a TV podcast and she talks about it quite a lot.
I'd absolutely love to see Natalie Cassidy on it.
Yeah.
And maybe like Simon Rimmer or something. I think it would be great, and it will never take away from the first one. You can keep it separate, but there is also a wrong way of doing it.
Yeah. I'm in. I'm more than happy for them to do a celebrity version.
You get 2 series of traitors a year. One has a good, diverse cast of celebrities, and the other one is full of amazing people like you and me. You're just knocking around. They're completely different. You're going to see that beautiful castle. And you get 2 series.
Yeah.
Because we eat it so quickly. You can't, what Traitors have shown to us is that like as soon as it's out, you've got to be on it. I've got so many friends that are like, I never did Traitors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a live experience.
Yeah.
And you can make it tense. You could bring back drama to, you know, I want to see newspapers reporting on what's happening.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. If it's true.
If it's
you
true.
don't know.
We think it's true. we're going beyond the UK now. Traitors Canada has been renewed for a second season on CTV. The new season will air on Mondays at 10 p.m. this fall, which is, I'm guessing, sort of like September.
It's autumn.
It's autumn, in case people don't know what fall means.
I wish we used fall.
It's nicer. Although autumn is a nice word too. L'automne from the French.
Okay. Voulez-vous?
And that's relevant because in Canada, some places in Canada, they speak French. It's produced by a company called Bell Media, who have said that season 1 of Traitors Canada was last fall's #1 new Canadian series. That's pretty impressive. I don't know how they're measuring that or what exactly that means, but it obviously did pretty well, and well enough that they've renewed it for a new season. And the host, Karine Vanasse, will return as host. In fact, she has posted a little promo vid on her social media, sort of introducing the idea of the new season. So that's exciting.
So interesting how Traitors has so quickly become a legacy format.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I do now, it's more of a global team.
You've moved on to global. I'm mere domestic.
No, well, I love what you do. But when you're talking to people in different parts of Europe, what a lot of channels want are legacy formats that within their budget, which is normally the biggest issue. But Traitors has been around for such a brief time, and it's already a format that, you know, I could imagine being bought in like every place. You know, it has that presence now.
Yeah, I read some statistic in like broadcast or something. This broadcast is like a TV thing.
And it costs money, so I only get to read like 2 articles.
I read the free copy at work.
Okay.
But they sort of they listed like Traitors as it's something like it's sort of overtaken The Masked Singer, funnily enough, as the sort of like fastest selling, or like it's got some title like biggest growth of a format, and is like the #1 selling format now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like acquiring formats. That's what acquisitions. Half of the team that I am on do, and what they do is like, you know, scour across the world to find things that we can bring to the UK. You'd be surprised how many shows that you like probably came from somewhere else or have versions in other countries, but it's super accessible and telling about the people in the country. Like My Mum, Your Dad. I feel like I can share this information. They made My Mum, Your Dad in France.
Okay.
But it didn't resonate. I'll have to just check that they did. No, they did it. So obviously here was crazy in the US, really successful, but it didn't do as well in France. And there's an idea that it's because they think about the relationships between couples that have split up, and, you know, men wanting to date younger women. And it works the best if it's the woman who's left a relationship on her terms, in terms of their character and what they're looking for love. But there's maybe a few more situations in France of men leaving women to be with younger women. Whereas here, we're a lot more aligned to the idea of dating people your own age. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that doesn't probably happen all the time, but for some reason, there's an idea that could have been partly why it wasn't as successful in France. And so it speaks a lot about cultures, what works and what doesn't. So I'd love to see like Spanish version of Traitors. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean that exists. That does exist. And
well, there we go. I know some things, but not all things.
But it is interesting how some formats just don't work in some countries. I mean, even like I'm building towards a segue here, by the way, very cleverly. But
I will not interrupt.
So, like Survivor is huge in the States and it's huge in Australia and I think it's huge in South Africa. And like I said, really twice they've tried it here in the UK. And we don't know what's going to happen with Survivor, but it doesn't seem like it did that well, and it's probably not going to return anytime soon. And it just, for some reason, it just doesn't seem to resonate in the UK.
We made it so English. They didn't want to make it seem American, and it's an American show. Who made that?
It's a Banerjee thing. Remarkable.
Because I feel like Studio Lambert would have done it well. Because all their shows feel they're a little bit American.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of America in them. But your friend of mine, Joel Dommett.
Yes.
Big J. JD. JD. I think you can only try as best as you can. Like with Claudia, this show suits a dirty.
Sings.
What's your segue?
My segue is, speaking of shows that don't always do well in different territories, surprisingly, I'm gutted every time I say it, but Traitors Australia just didn't catch on, and I'm sort of skipping ahead to something I was going to talk about later, but Traitors Australia, which I've spoken about before, had 2 seasons on Channel 10 in Australia, and viewing figures for the second season just sort of dwindled as it went on, and Channel 10 just didn't announce it as a returning show. In fact,
what do you blame?
Well, what do I blame? Is that because I'm going to talk about what to blame, or are you just genuinely asking? I'm
interested. Are you gonna read the house?
I have a couple of theories that other people have given me. I don't know. I don't live in Australia, but people have said to me that season 2 of Traitors Australia aired at the same time as a big show called The Block, which is a big reality renovation show, which is really successful. So that was like a barrier to people watching it. And other people have said to me that because Survivor is so huge in Australia, viewers maybe just, they weren't willing to switch to another strategy reality gameplay thing. So they've already got Survivor. They don't need another. And I don't think Survivors really like the Traitors, but maybe viewers just thought, I'm happy with what I've got. I don't want to invest in this new show that's kind of thematically connected in some ways.
Yeah. When I think of Australia, I don't think of indoors.
Yeah.
And the outdoor nature of Traitors is not, for me, the best element.
Yeah, it's not the most important. I'm going to put another little spoiler alert in here. And I can say this to you, Jessica, because you've seen all of Traitors Australia Season 2.
Yeah.
But listeners, if you haven't and you don't want to know this, skip ahead a minute or so. Traitors Australia Season 2 had a really strange ending, a really, really fascinating ending, but an ending that I haven't seen in any other version of the show. I'm not really spoiling much, but so I think a lot of people have blamed that for maybe the failure of the show because it just ended in such a strange way, and some people thought the casting in Traitors Australia Season 2 was just...
There's a bad blood feeling, wasn't there? And there was something very unsettling about that boy. There's something very unsettling about that young man, wasn't there?
Yes.
And it felt like you wanted to keep the cameras rolling. There was grief. It almost felt like it was setting us up for a part 2.
Yeah.
You know how complicated that got, and it just obviously didn't. If we're talking about narrative, it didn't land in the right place.
Yeah.
It felt jaded and ugly, and we weren't sure how to process it because they were both feeling odd about it.
Yeah.
And when you can't heal after that, it's like when your favorite show ends, you need to be carried through that. And this one just didn't facilitate that as well. That's my logic. But if the viewing figures were bad, then that's a track record issue. But I feel like that was complicated.
Yeah, it was a very complicated ending, and if you know what we're talking about because you've seen it, then you can listen. I interviewed two of the finalists from Traitors Australia season 2 on the podcast, so they spoke about their impressions of how it all went down, and really, really, in fact, my interview with one of those finalists is the most viewed episode of my whole podcast on YouTube by like more than 1,000 views. It's become like I think because that can on YouTube, because that can
you put the video footage on YouTube,
just the audio, but you couldn't listen to YouTube. Oh, were you worrying that I was filming us for YouTube there?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I haven't dressed for the. I look fine, but I've been.
You look lovely as always.
So do you. We should kiss.
But back to Traitors Australia, there have been some. Now these are just rumors. This is totally unsubstantiated. But there's a social media account called Reality TV News /updates on X, and they generally seem to report fairly accurate things. But they've reported that Traitors Australia may return on Channel 7, different channel, as opposed to Channel 10. An alleged insider tells the Daily Mail the show's concept has potential, but it needs a fresh approach and a new platform. So maybe it will return on a different channel. Who knows? I do fear if Traitors Australia is going to return, it will not return with Roger, my beloved Roger. I feel like they're not gonna bring back the same host from a show that did poorly in ratings and that effectively was cancelled.
I'm only there for Roger. They should bring in Kylie.
Yes.
Or Danny. Who is now Mother.
She's now a presenter.
I'm not saying that like in an appropriate way, but I do think giving I Kissed a Girl and I Kissed a Boy, she's kind of like for James Bond, she's really thrown her name into the ring of being Mother.
Yeah.
Do more like grandiose outdoor activities because you've got all that capacity there. Like really imagine space. Really indulge in all those things that we love. I mean, we say quotes from I was in the car.
I was in the car.
No, I was in the car. They're gorgeous contestants.
Oh yeah.
It's a gorgeous people.
Where's my letter? I want a letter. What's in that letter?
What's in?
Maybe I don't want a letter.
That's what I want.
So I'm going to fly through some other little really small pieces of like news and rumors about Traitors. But first is some UK sort of rumoring. Strictly Come Dancing is almost upon us here in the UK. Huge big show. Of course, there's a Traitors connection because Claudia Winkleman is one of the presenters of Strictly Come Dancing. And there are heavy rumours online that a member of Traitors UK Series 2 will be taking part. There's huge speculation about either Molly Pierce, Harry Clark, or Paul Gordon, who were sort of big characters in the show. That's not a spoiler. I'm not telling you how well they did. They were just quite memorable people.
Who would you want?
Well, I'd actually want none of them. I would obviously want Diane. So, yeah.
I'd actually want Jazz.
Oh my God! Of course, Jazz. How could I forget?
What's Diane's son called?
But Ross's.
Ross.
I'm not going on Strictly, but Ross's. So that.
If they haven't done that, Matthew. I'm not so Strictly, but Ross's. Sorry, I just put that made me cry, and I'm pulling the ugliest face in the camera because that was so quick and gorgeous. Ross for Strictly 2024.
Another sort of Traitors and other reality show crossover is a weird one. Aaron Evans, who was on Traitors UK season 1, is competing. Yes, very handsome. Is competing in Love Island USA on Peacock, which starts tonight, the night that we are recording this podcast, June 11th, season 6 of Love Island USA. And Aaron's already been on First Dates in the UK as well. He was on an episode of that.
Excuse me? Do you know which episode?
I don't know which one specifically. It was
I'm going to find out because people deserve to know.
Yes, and he was set up on a date with someone who had no idea who he was, so they didn't recognize him. I'm going to read a little bit of what Aaron has said on his social media. So he said his biggest ick when a girl is on her phone too much. And the little Love Island teaser on their social media says the Brit has arrived. Aaron says, I'm definitely a mama's boy. I always think, would my mum get on with this person? If it's no straight away, then they're out.
I would like to see some clips. I'm not going to watch it, but I'd like to see some clips.
Yes.
Do you think they'll enjoy that he's British?
Yeah, they'll think that's cool, that he's British.
And he's so
I
sweet.
can't even remember his accent, but
Oh, is it not like a bit Londony?
probably.
Probably. He was
Don't
just
know.
lovely.
He was really sweet, really lovely.
So sweet, which is interesting for Love Island because normally people do bad things.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Because
We'll see how he fares.
I imagine he could get swallowed up.
Well, I hope not.
Same.
I'm going to double back a little bit, back to Diane, by the way. Diane, if you really want to, and if you've got about £1,500, you could win a dinner with Diane because Diane is sort of auctioning herself off. She says that her daughter Lisa and her son Ross are very proud to have been asked to take part of the Lambda Drama Gala 2024. So Lambda is like a sort of like a drama school, right?
Yeah.
She says, we are offering up a silly but fun afternoon over pancakes, and you can go into the Lambda website. This is all on Diane's social media. And it says, you and 4 friends can join iconic Traitors duo Diane and Ross, alongside 100% faithful Lambda alumna Lisa Kerr, who is the daughter of Diane. And you can have pancakes and a cocktail. I don't know why it's pancakes and a cocktail at their Fitzrovia, Battersea, or London Bridge restaurant. I'm in London Bridge. I'm going to work.
I would be picking Fitzrovia.
The meal is for 8 guests in total, including Diane, Ross, and Lisa.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you and 4 friends, 8 guests in total.
Yeah, I know. It's really silly. It's the bidding right now is at £1,100 to have dinner or pancakes and cocktail with Diane and Ross and Lisa.
Who can you guess at the person that's putting that kind of money in? What's the situation? Who's doing that? Big reality fanatic? Someone doing it for their kids?
I don't think I don't. It's probably, you know what? It's probably someone who barely knows who they are, which is the really disappointing thing.
It could be a celeb.
It could be a celeb. Yeah, I would like it to be someone that's doing it for me in secret and then says, "Surprise! I bid on this dinner for you."
Oh, this is the coffee money. They haven't been putting the money into the coffee app. They've all been chipping in privately, secretly to get this.
I would love that. And if you want to bid, you've got not long to do it. The bidding closes on Thursday, June the 13th at 11 p.m. There is one big bit of news that I'm building my way up to, but sort of our penultimate thing that we could talk about is there are a whole, whilst The Traitors has not been on our screens here in the UK, there have been a bunch of other shows that are sort of Traitors-esque. On the podcast Instagram, a few people left me comments suggesting other shows that maybe I could talk about in the podcast, including The Trust on Netflix. The Genius Game is on its way to ITV in the UK with David Tennant. The Mole 2 is about to be released on Netflix in batches. And we've just had Fortune Hotel here in the UK. Any of those, have you seen, Jessica? Fortune Hotel, The Trust. Have you watched The Mole?
I've seen Fortune Hotel and The Trust.
Yes, me too. Any thoughts on The Fortune Hotel or The Trust?
So, when The Traitors came in, everyone was trying to make The Traitors again. Every team...
Everyone wanted their own traitors.
Everyone wanted their own traitors. And then Fortune Hotel won.
Yes.
That's how I'll describe it. Big budget, not The Traitors. How are we going to do it differently? I described it as a homage to the Traitors because it essentially feels like that. And did it work?
Did it work?
What did you like about it?
I like, and a few people have said this to me. I liked that I mean, it is so very close to Traitors and sort of structure. Like the challenges were more integral to the actual playing of the game in Fortune Hotel. Like a lot of people say that in the Traitors, the challenges are quite throwaway. They don't really mean that much. You're not, they always win money. There's not much jeopardy. But in Fortune Hotel, yeah, the challenges meant something that affected gameplay in some way. So I thought that was important. By the way, Fortune Hotel it's produced by a company called Tuesday's Child, and they pitched it as The Traitors meets White Lotus. That was their sort of like way
Which you'll see in some news reports. If you look at the reviews, they also try and call it that.
Yeah.
It got very mixed reviews.
I watched the first 4 because they sort of released it in quite a strange way. It was like 4 one week, 4 the next week, and then that was it. So there only were 8 episodes, which I was quite surprised at.
Yeah.
I watched the first 4 and thought I enjoyed it, but then forgot that I still had another 4 to watch. So I didn't have me gripped enough that I was really, really excited to keep watching the next 4. But I did. I watched it all the way to the end. I was invested enough that I wanted to know where it was going and who was going to win.
I think I watched 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And I don't regret that decision. Also, there was a contestant on it from Josh Must Win,
yes,
which had come up very recently.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Which I didn't watch to the end of either, and there was a lot of hoo-ha about Josh Must Win because then that was not necessarily subsequent, but in my mind, subsequent a result of Jury Duty.
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of how I processed it.
Yeah.
And Jury Duty is an excellent show.
It's so good, yeah.
Not related to this, and that's on Amazon Prime. They had some... Traitors has its own language. Fortune Hotel tries to establish its own language as well. You have, what is it, like the Fortune Keepers?
Yeah, the unfortunate.
The unfortunates who have the leaving card and
the early checkout card.
The early checkout card. And the best part is that when they're deciding who's going, it's the language they use is they all meet for a nightcap.
Yeah.
At the Lady Luck Lounge or bar. Lady Luck. They mean the Lady Luck bar. And there was no joke from any of the episodes I watched where they said, "Look, be a lady tonight." So
I missed opportunity.
Don't put it out there.
And a missed opportunity to sing the song. Look, be a lady tonight from Guys and Dolls.
From Guys and Dolls.
One of my favorites.
And also like Lady Luck, they call it, from Tim Robinson's The Characters, which is on Netflix. Nothing to do with Traitors, but a very excellent hour watch if you have the time. Yeah. So another thing that separates it is that people play in teams.
Yeah.
Like The Amazing Race and Race Across the World, which are two of the same different shows. And so this was a bit of an experiment to see if that works. I think it was hard to handle. It was hard to get the conversations that you wanted out of it. The conversations that they did have between teams seemed very produced. They did. And a hotel as opposed to a castle, the castle was more Airbnb, free roaming. We own this space, but the idea of a hotel, they're communicating in communal areas, and they have the separate booths where they can talk to each other, because though the teams need a private place for them to do what they need to do, and for the exchanging of suitcases and things like that. Suitcases as well featured on the 007.
Oh yeah,
Road to a Million.
Yeah, that's right.
Which again was Traitors adjacent. That's good because it's cinematic. but you get very little time with the questions. It travels far. I love the effect if you get the right answer, like a canister of like a certain colour comes out. That was quite pretty.
Yeah.
Brian Cox obviously probably only had to do a day of work for that, but I enjoyed him being around. Stephen Mangan is brilliant, is who he is. So do I feel like they managed to get the most out of him? No, but I think that was the format. Did it need to be in such... Did I really get the luxury that it was trying to convey? No, I didn't.
I didn't either, but then I was listening to another podcast that was talking about TV, and they were talking about Fortune Hotel, and they said the opposite. The hosts of this podcast were like, oh my God, it looks amazing, I want to go there. So what do I know?
There's this idea of copy and pivot, right?
Yeah.
With a format.
Yeah.
Did it truly pivot, or did it just add and therefore like reduce in volume the good parts of Traitors? Potentially, it wasn't necessarily different enough.
Mm-hmm.
The beats were familiar, the language, synonyms of other language that we're familiar with. I wish I loved it. I really wanted to love it, and I loved their campaigns. Like we both live in London now, but if you did and you're going up and down the tube, they had...
It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere. The city was flooded with advertisements. You couldn't turn a corner without seeing it. There wasn't enough mischief. It was at one time too easy to understand where the money had gone in, and also too complicated.
I found that, and I'm not an idiot, I don't think, but a couple of times I could not keep track of where things were moving, and not even where things were moving. Like, I could figure out where the money was, but the calculating of people trying to figure out, like, if I swap with that one in it, then this will happen, and then that means these other people will probably do that. It was so abstract, I didn't know what they were theorizing about sometimes.
It's like when you want your favorite meal, but you can't have it. So you have something that's like slightly similar, but you do know what it is that you want to eat, really. And you're kind of imagining, I'm eating that one whilst you're eating that one. But you're getting fed all the same. You're getting fed something. And it doesn't taste bad. So that's what I thought of Fortune Hotel.
Okay.
The Trust I wasn't too taken with, but I'll get it. It gets away with being like quite a shiny American show.
Yeah.
And that's always seductive and edible.
Yeah. I actually like The Trust more than most other people I've spoken to. I didn't watch it when it was immediately released. People that I work with had watched it and said, oh, it's fine, I wouldn't bother. A couple of other people who listen to the podcast said the same, like, I've watched it, don't waste your time. But I decided to waste my time.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing, and actually, I kind of binged it in like 3 days. For me, that's binging.
Was that conscious watching, though? Or did you have it on?
Pretty much. Like, maybe sometimes I was doing something and I had it on my laptop whilst I was packing or putting things in boxes or whatever. But I actually did enjoy it. There's not really much to it. Like, it got taken over by the reality, I think, rather than the game, because there wasn't actually that much to the game. Like, it really is just, you're all in a house together, and if you want, you can just share this money. And if for some utterly innocuous reason you decide to vote someone out, that's up to you. But
so to try and inspire that, they release statements about people and like whether they, someone might be quite wealthy already and maybe you want to get rid of that person because they don't deserve the money. Like, the idea is about who deserves.
Yeah. And I think that the one about one contestant was already a millionaire. That was the only sort of real reason I might consider getting rid of someone. Other than that, I found that they just... Well, but I found this really fascinating, and it's one of the things I found fascinating about the Traitors is watching people make up things about other people, like watching people contrive beliefs about people based on really not very much, and watching people just drive themselves crazy with mistrust for no
And it's
real
not a
reason.
spoiler, but you know, when you listeners watch series 2 of The American Traitors, quite early on there is a moment
Oh yeah,
that happens that's like that. Yeah, so maybe you would recommend.
I would recommend The Trust over some other shows that we may have talked about.
I know that's okay.
The Genius Game, I was just going to ask, do you have any like magical inside info about when this is actually being broadcast? Because it's all very... There's been lots of sort of ITV released information about it. We know that David Tennant's hosting and it's based on a format called The Genius, but we don't know when it's going to appear.
I don't know, but what I will tell you is you put David Tennant on the front of that, I'll be watching the first episode as soon as I can.
Okay.
That is intelligent casting. It also has a Doctor Who vibe, that picture. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Holding that out, he's playing it into his type.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I can't wait, and I hope it doesn't ruin him.
Oh,
you can't call it The Genius Game. The Genius Game is a title that I do feel similarly about, like I feel about The Amazing Race. It's just a funny adjective. Yeah. Well, it's not an adjective in that sense, obviously, but, you know, a very emotive word.
Yeah.
In a very simple sentence.
The Genius Game.
The Genius Game. Is the game in and of itself genius? Or are the people in the show geniuses?
It's all of it. It's everything.
They'll be quite private about I don't have anyone in that area.
Okay.
Is it a reality concept?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because I happen to have the ITV press release right here. Genius Game is a brand new reality game show that will see strategically minded players chosen not just for their high intellectual prowess, but also their social IQ, face the ultimate battle of survival. To win, contestants will participate in a host of never-before-seen games, all designed to not only test their intellectual acumen, but encourage them to carefully and creatively use the art of manipulation to outfox their opponents and win a cash prize. And on it goes.
I have 3 questions.
Actually.
Social IQ.
Yeah. Is that a thing, or is it just made up?
Street smarts.
Yeah.
How to win friends and alienate people.
Yeah.
Secondly, never before seen games.
Never before seen. Never.
That is probably...
That's quite a claim.
That is the biggest statement I have heard.
But it's the Genius Game. It's genius. It's never before seen. It's never done before.
Never before seen games.
Never.
You show me one never before seen game, and I
can't, because you've never seen it before.
No, well, I can see it, and then I'll say I agree.
But these are games that no one has seen before. No one.
No one has ever seen this game before.
No.
You don't know how much, as a game developer, that blows my mind.
It's going to blow your mind.
It's like I was watching Fortune Hotel with various people who work in the industry, and the amount of times they do a challenge and someone will go, "Oh no, we've got something exactly like that." Yeah.
Oh,
like, I mean, it's not that, but it's like exactly like that. So you never before seen. That's a highlight to me.
Never before.
God, I'd love nothing more than for this to be incredible.
Yeah, there you go. It actually goes on to say, this exciting reality format is designed to keep not just the players, but the audience on the edge of their seats, with each episode containing compelling gameplay and thrilling twists. David Tennant is the perfect ringmaster, ring a bell, to preside over this battle of brainpower, teamwork, and deception.
The buzzwords. The English language is gorgeous. We have so many words. This kind of sums up what it's like to create a new show.
Mm-hmm.
Familiarity and difference.
Thrilling twists. Compelling gameplay.
Exciting to keep not only the players, but the audience on the edge of their seats.
Ringmaster,
which we've heard so many times. You have to make something to get commissioned that people understand because it's similar, but is not like anything else.
Yeah.
And this copy is expressing that. I mean, how many shows could we find a press release for that says the exact same thing?
So many. All of them.
Every single one.
Yeah.
They just have a Rolodex of statements that they have to include. Like a CV, when you're going for a certain job, you have to put the buzzwords in so it gets picked up by the machine.
Yes.
It is a shame. I don't know if they're just writing that because they can't say anything. But what's good is that there are new shows coming out. And what's sad is that because people don't watch them, they don't get a second shot, so they don't get the chance to improve. So we might get a bunch of one-hit wonders.
One and done.
So one and done, which is loads of things. You know, imagine if they'd done that to the US Traitors.
Yeah.
That might go on to be really great when they stop casting people from the same version. But, you know, you need time to grow.
Yeah.
Unless it's a perfect show like that show we've never watched with French RuPaul.
RuPaul? RuPaul?
RuPaul. Also, other recommendations. Do watch Squid Game, The Challenge.
Oh,
That's
yes, of
a great
course.
show.
Yeah. So good.
I think what's great about Traitors is like it really brings the nation together. And I was speaking to someone when I had an interview after I left the company that we worked for, and you took my job, with someone who, even though the TV scene is bleak job-wise at the minute, who was feeling quite optimistic about the scene of reality unscripted TV because Traitors had managed to be so successful. So obviously we have the potential to craft something that engages everyone, that is talked about, that makes stars out of strangers. And there are formulas to work with, but just because Traitors discovered one of them, it doesn't mean it's the only one. I think we will be getting something next year that will be really good. I just feel that. I think we have to. We have to, because no one's sleeping.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying really hard to get what that is. Yeah. So those are the ones we recommended. What have you been watching, generally speaking?
Most recently, I've just watched, I'm not making this up, Race Across the World. But I'd never watched Race Across the World before. So this is the first series I watched and really loved it. I actually want to go back and watch older ones now.
I think you should.
I just watched all of Love Triangle, which is really weird because I almost never watch dating shows. They're not for me, but because of what we do, I feel like I should. So I watched one because it was relevant to something I was doing at work, and I got sucked in and watched the whole thing.
Did you like it by the end?
It's really weird to answer that question. I obviously did like it because I watched the whole thing. But
context Love Triangle is you're one person and you're given two people. One of them is your exact type. One of them is the exact type you would go for, but obviously you've been unlucky in love. That's why you've not got a partner right now. So the idea is stay away from them and go with the good guy or the good woman, and then you make your choice and you will meet. So there's a bunch of couples, and then you get the text of actually this other person is going to be joining you, and hence the love triangle.
Yeah.
Just in case you guys thought it was about triples.
Yeah,
that's a different show.
It's like manufactured love triangle situations. It was like really addictive viewing because it's so full of like all that good reality, drama, arguments. But it left me feeling uncomfortable. Like, so I watched it all the way to the end, but I didn't feel good watching it. I felt horrible by the end of it because I had watched people really be messed about with. There was someone. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch the whole thing.
There was one contestant that from very early on, it became clear shouldn't be on TV. Like, she was really struggling, really unhappy. So I just felt horrible watching her go through this manufactured situation that was genuinely messing with her head and her sense of self. So it's it's a great format because it just creates these really fascinating triangles and all this conflict, but it is messing with people and possibly an unethical way.
You have to be so careful.
Yeah.
You have to be so careful. Oh my God, the show that we have to recommend everyone to watch, which I have to recommend everyone to watch, is I Kissed a Girl.
Oh, yeah. I actually haven't watched... I watched all I Kissed a Boy and I haven't watched I Kissed a Girl.
Well, that speaks volumes.
That's because I'm a misogynist.
You're a misogynist. Yeah, I can't even say you're a homophobe because that's simply not true. But you can be a misogynist. You are a misogynist.
I'm not really in folks, by the way. I just it sort of passed me by. But everybody keeps telling me how great the casting was, and so I will watch it.
I Kissed a Boy was... No, there's no but to that. I Kissed a Boy was great. There is more space for queer men, I believe, on television, and to have queer women being queer and not just sexualized was such an amazing experience. I think it's going to have done wonders for women and their sexualities at home. I think there's loads of TV is made for women, quote unquote. A lot of women are like the target audience of channels and viewership and things like that, and to have that space and have people talk about sexuality and their presentation of their gender, bisexuality, just the word lesbian being said so much and in a real way and in that unscripted way, it was amazing. And we are used to RuPaul levels of like drama with queerness, and when you get something more grounded, you got that in I Kissed a Boy as well, where like you treat queer people as normal people who have normal conversations, and you get to see that drama. You realize how it is interesting and it's not different, but it's an added element and it's worth listening to. And it's just, oh God, there's just so much to take away from it. And the casting is, I mean, those girlies, they're just superstars. I mean, I bought some black boots. If you watch the show, you're misogynist. Just joking. But if you watch the show, you'll see that Amy always wears a pair of black boots. And I think the sales of black boots are going up, up, and up because of her.
Excellent.
You have to watch that show.
I will. I really will. One final show to circle our way back to then and to finish with is The Traitors New Zealand, which is coming back for season 2 incredibly soon. Again, this is not totally official, but it's been reported on Reddit and various other places, and a source who has contacted me about this, who I trust very much. Apparently, Traitors New Zealand season 2 begins on the 1st of July, really, really soon. In fact, there was a trailer on YouTube that appeared briefly today and then vanished. So something's going on, but it seems like July 1st, new season of Traitors New Zealand. And I've decided that I am going to cover the whole season on the podcast. So come July, I will be back podcasting properly, full time. I didn't really cover New Zealand season 1 fully. I did one giant episode about the whole season. I didn't go episode by episode, but this time I'm gonna do that. So new season of the podcast on the way. Traitors New Zealand season 2 from July 1st, apparently. Jessica,
that accent, darling.
Oh, New Zealand.
Zealand. Watch Flight of the Conchords. Get into it.
I've watched Starstruck with Rosie Matafeo. So she is my New Zealand icon. Every
person from New Zealand I've met, I have simply adored.
Yeah.
And I have a very good friend in New Zealand who I'm going to push to watch the pod. And I'd love to talk to you about the pod if you'll have me back. So nice to the one person that sent in and said I was good chat. That really gave me self-confidence for about 4 months of my life.
Was it just one person? Several people were like very complimentary.
That's so kind.
Yeah.
I love talking to you. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I mean, you do this alongside a difficult job and you really care about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I want to buy you every coffee for the rest of your life, but I also earn as much as you, so I can't do that.
Thank you. I just need your presence on the podcast.
Oh, you can have it. It's past midnight.
Yes.
As if it is.
As always, listeners, please leave reviews, and you can follow the podcast on wherever you listen: iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. By the way, YouTube is up to 383 subscribers right now, and I know that's not a lot compared to most podcasts, but if it got to 400, that would be very cool. So please subscribe, even if you don't actually listen on YouTube. You can send me questions, comments, thoughts on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast, or on X at the Trader Pod. And you can also email me at thetraderpodcast@gmail.com. And if you really like listening to the podcast and you want me to keep it going, there are costs that I have to pay to make it happen. So you could put in a little donation on the Ko-fi page, which is ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley, and the link is in the description for the episode. Jessica, I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I think that we should do, I think if people, I'm going to stop doing the accent, submitted their dream celebrity castings, we could do like a fantasy cast.
A fantasy all-stars.
Fantasy all-stars.
Whatever you call it.
Well, we can both prepare teams, and I just think that would be fun. Potentially,
that would be fun.
we could do a brainstorm. I'll Google Meet your team's account, and we'll zoom in by end of play.
Okay.
If you could just work that into a deck for me, into a 2-pager.
Best.
Regards, and then insert signature, and put that onto Canva, and then put it onto a PDF, please. Not pages.
Not keto.
I've had no, thank you. I've had a whale of a time.
Thank you so much. As always, what a treat, what a dream. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, stay faithful, whatever my closing phrase is. Keep us on your I can't even remember. Bye.